Okay, I think we're live. Hello and welcome back to the Football Rundown, everyone. We're here with the pre-match live stream as Stockport take on Bradford City in the EFL Trophy tonight, also known as the Vertu Cup. I think it's changed to since the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. I just got used to it being the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, and then they went and bloody changed it. So from now on, I want to refer to it as the EFL Trophy and probably just stick to it as that. County are in. I can't remember if I said what stage they're in. If they win this, they go into the last 16. So it's an opportunity to win a trophy. Obviously, it's not the game which everyone's the most excited about. Hopefully, everyone can hear me as well. All right, by the way. But yeah, obviously, it's not the biggest game of county season. That's why there's such a low attendance at Edgeley Park tonight. That's probably why I'm not there myself tonight at Edgeley Park, because they've only opened one end of the stadium. So yeah, it's not the biggest game on County's calendar by any means, particularly with what's the kind of games coming up as well. Obviously, we just had Birmingham last week. We've got some big games. We've got Birmingham again actually on New Year's Day. So there's bigger games to deal with in the season in front of us at this point in time. But it is nice to have the opportunity to play these kind of games and to put yourself in a position whereby you could end up picking up a bit of silverware. I mean, let's face it, if County do progress into the last 16 tonight, then you start to take the competition a bit more seriously. County will probably open up a bit more of the stadium for the next game, should it be a home game. So I think bit by bit, little by little, we start to take it a little bit more seriously, this competition. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Obviously, it's an League Two opposition. As I've said many times with the cup games so far this season, the FA Cup, we're against opposition which really on paper we should be winning. But again, as I've always said in football, it doesn't always necessarily go how it should go. And, we're going to have to put in a good performance. We've gone with a strong team, as we typically have done so far this season in the competition. Just having a quick look as well at Bradford's form recently, it doesn't look like they've had a great couple of months, to be honest. In fact, it looks like their last win, I think, was on the 2nd of November in the FA Cup first round over Aldershot Town. So they've had a couple of defeats, couple of draws since then, but it's not been a great spell for them over the last month, as I say. Also, I think they found themselves around 11th in the table in League Two. They've had a bit of a stop-start kind of look to the season. It looks like 6 wins, 7 draws and 5 defeats already this season in League Two for Bradford City, of course. Stockport County, well, they were working their way up the League One table. Obviously, a result not the result we wanted against Birmingham, but we bounced back with a win, which I felt we had to do against Exeter. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, but by all accounts from people I spoke to who were there and who did see the game, I didn't really miss too much. So, we move on. We've got this game, then we've got Stevenage away on a Saturday, and I will be there for that game. So that means the vlog's back. But yeah, I just thought, for this one, I was thinking about going, but I thought, I'll just decide to stay at home and watch it on Sky and do this pre-match live and post-match live afterwards as well. Stuart said that's still quite a strong lineup, but yeah. I mean, I put the team news in the chat for those that haven't already seen it. I've had a quick look at it, but this is the first time I'm really taking it in. Corey Adai, of course, in goal. We know he's the goalkeeper now. He's lost that place as the first team goalkeeper in the league. Sam Hughes is in. I'm excited to see what he's all about. I thought he was going to have his opportunity to start in the league, actually, a couple of games ago, but it didn't happen for him. I thought he would have started maybe the FA Cup game, I think it was, the other week. I think he was ill for it. Horsfall's back in, so obviously I heard that he'd gone off with a slight, concussion, I think, against Exeter at home on Saturday. He appears to be okay. In fact, he's got the captain's armband tonight in the absence of Lewis Bate, who's on the bench. Jack Diamond's back in. I thought he came in against Birmingham and he looks bright, but I think that he didn't really have that end product, which I think he lacked in the game. I'd like to see him. I'm still waiting for Jack Diamond to have a really strong performance, which says, okay, that's why we signed him. I think I've seen flashes of it, but I've not seen enough of it. I do think he's a good player. I definitely think he's got potential, but I will need to see a bit more at the end product tonight, hopefully. Jay Mingy's back in as well. I'm excited for him. I thought he was doing so well until he got the injuries. And then I think he struggled to get back in the side. Obviously, Savin Mayles is back injured again, I think, now. So, yeah, not great news. Also, I was hearing as well, Jaden Fevrier who I'm a big fan of. A little bit like Diamond, not really had the minutes, hasn't really managed to show what he can do completely yet. But from what I have seen in February, I really, really like. But unfortunately, he seems to be out for 12 weeks apparently. So that isn't good news. I just want to say to everyone who is watching as well, do subscribe if you're not already, and do like the stream if you're enjoying it, of course. Then, of course, we've got Ryan Rydell on that other side. He was taken off against Birmingham, taken off in the Birmingham game. I think he was dropped for the game against Exeter on Saturday. He's back in today. Fiorini's back in the team as well. He was having a little bit of good game time over was it a couple of weeks ago? I think it might have been the Reading game where he looked quite good. He's not really been back in the team since, so another opportunity of him. Of course, Norwood's in that team as well. I think Chalna really likes Norwood in that team. Odin Bailey gets an opportunity again. Teo Adaramola starts. I'm not quite sure what the formation will be, to be honest, with Teo Adaramola in the side as well. I assumed, looking at it before I saw his name, it was going to be a back four, but it probably will end up being a back three. I suspect Jay Mingy in that right-sided centre-back role. We'll have to wait and see. And of course, Tanto Alafi up front as well, which is good to see. Hopefully he can have a strong performance tonight, get a couple of goals, because his confidence doesn't, well, I'm saying this, he doesn't seem as confident, and obviously he's not playing, he's not scoring like he was last season. We need to play him into some confidence, we need to play him into a little bit of form, we need to play him into a little bit of momentum, and, well, because I think that if he does get to that point, we've got a very, very useful striker in League One. He just needs that game time, he just needs those chances, and I'm sure if we get that from him, he'll be scoring, scoring for fun again, and hopefully causing defences in League One problems, especially if Louis Barry's going to leave. We're going to need Tanto Alafi to start firing. So what better time than tonight, against Bradford City, which is opposition we did face last season, but neither game resulted in a win for either side. I think both of them resulted in draws, if I remember correctly. I'm just having a quick look at it here. Yeah, it was a 1-1 draw in August of last season at Edgeley Park. And then, of course, I do remember this one. Bradford away on the 29th of December. I remember going to it, I think it was a Friday night game, and it finished 0-0. I was very, very disappointed with the performance that night and the result, obviously. But yeah, I think that, I enjoyed going to Bradford. I enjoyed going to the stadium. It was one, again, I hadn't been to before, but I was disappointed with the performance and result, to be honest. I think it was a bit of a dire game. But yeah, both of those games finished in draws last season. Obviously, I don't think it can be a draw tonight. There will have to be a winner, and I'm pretty sure Stockport County will be the winner. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if it goes straight to penalties or if it goes straight to time. I'd imagine it goes straight to penalties, but I'm not that clued up on how this tournament works, to be honest. Stuart's saying, I gather Sunderland fans rate Diamond. He looks determined. Hope he can improve. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. If you're not playing particularly well, at least looking determined and looking like you want to play well, kind of, gives something for the fans to sort of hold on to a little bit. The worst thing is maybe when you've got a player who isn't playing well and doesn't look interested. That's often something which has kind of been thrown at Nick Powell in the past. So yeah, Diamond definitely does look determined. I agree with you on that. I'm sure he can improve. To be fair to him as well, I think he was probably signed with the idea that maybe Louis Barry wasn't going to come in. We weren't going to, get that deal over the line to bring him back for another season. And maybe Diamond was always meant to play on that left-hand side, and then Louis Barry kind of came back in, and Diamond couldn't get that game time. So I think he's had to be patient, to be fair to him. The same with Fevrier as well. But if Louis Barry is going to leave a lot, like I was saying about Tanto Alafi, we need to play him into form, and what better time for him to start scoring within the next month, with obviously Louis Barry expected to go back to Aston Villa. It's the same with Jack Diamond. What a better opportunity than now to start, finding a little bit of, a bit of form and showing that actually County can maybe rely on him, to replace Louis Barry. Obviously, I do think County do need to bring in players in January to replace him, but Diamond will look at it and think, well, if I can play well over these next couple of weeks when I do have the game time, I can maybe force them into thinking that I'm the guy that's is going to walk in and take that left wing position. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure where he's going to play today, because we have seen him play on the left sometimes, we have seen him play on the right. I don't really know where his best position is yet for Stockport County, to be honest. But yeah, as you say, I heard that Sunderland fans did rate him quite highly when he moved on in the summer. So yeah, I'm excited by the team. It's always strong, as it typically has. As I say, it typically has been. so far this season in this cup. I think it's one that Chalna, I think he has taken it seriously so far this competition. He's been able to use it to rotate a lot, which I think's helped keeping players happy. We've had a lot of big names on the bench at times, so far this season. And even tonight, Ibi Touré's on the bench, Lewis Bate is on the bench, Ethan Pye's on the bench, Connolly, Wootton, and Michael Mellon, which is a surprise to see. I'm quite surprised that there's no Shea Gardner on the bench, to be honest. I thought that he's been in and around the first team so far this season. He signed a new contract recently. I think it was after the last game of this competition that he put pen to paper on a new deal. I'm surprised that he's not been involved in the on the bench tonight, or even possibly that starting 11. So interesting with that, but Chalna has he had the option to pick some of these players, and he hasn't picked these players to the bench. He's gone strong with the bench. So we're obviously taking the competition seriously, and therefore that means that we have to win the game, because if we're taking it seriously and we don't end up winning, then it's embarrassing. So, Chalna has now put us in a position whereby we have to go and win the game, because we're showing intent, we're showing that we're taking it seriously. So it would be embarrassing if we were to lose, at home against lower opposition, to be fair to Bradford. I was looking into it. Obviously, Sarcevic went there in the summer. Neil Byrne went there in the summer as well. And I was actually going to build this sort of live stream up as, Sarcevic returns to Edgeley Park, but I think he's injured, because I was looking at it and he's not played many games. In fact, I think he's played just 3 or 4 games at the beginning of the season for Bradford. And I can only assume he's been injured since then. So unfortunately, I don't think he will be available to play against County today. In fact, I think he was actually at the County Courtyard a couple of weeks ago, where maybe people who were there will know more about his situation at the moment. I think Neil Byrne's played a little bit more, but I don't think he's played in the last couple of games as well. So no idea what's happening with those two. But those two are at Bradford City, and I suppose they possibly will be there. Obviously not playing, but tonight I wouldn't have thought, but they'll be there maybe to represent their club. I don't know. To be fair to Diamond, he has brought a lot more after my comment about him not bringing anything into the game off the bench. He was quality against Birmingham. He opened up the right wing. He did open up the right wing. I remember it because I was watching it, and he constantly got in that space down the right hand side. Acres of space, but the problem was that end product to a couple of times where it was just really, really tame efforts, shots on target. Sometimes you couldn't work out, is he trying to go across goal to, as a sort of cross, or is he just shooting really tamely across goal? But I felt he wasted a lot with that end product. But you are right, the promising thing is he did make some really, really good runs, and that will give us confidence. A lot of time, if you're just getting yourself in the right positions enough, you're doing half your job correct. So it's just working on that end product for Diamond, and I'm sure then we'll start to see a bit more of what he's all about, and hopefully, as I say, he can have a good performance tonight against an opposition which it is a weaker opposition, and therefore you should be playing well against this kind of team. So hopefully finds a bit of joy in this game tonight. Stuart's saying my worst away game was at Bury on Boxing Day years ago. Freezing cold, sat on the front row and saw very little. Just so cold. It was a goalless draw. That's probably why I didn't want to go tonight, because there's the temperature outside at the moment. When you can watch it on Sky and it's a bit of a nothing competition, like I say, might as well just stay at home and do this in a nice warmth with my Christmas tree in the background, which is looking better than it did before, but I'm not certain if it needs a bit more work yet. Hughes could be pivotal tonight. He hadn't had the chances to build a run of games. No, he hasn't, and I think that's what I mean. I think a lot of players we brought in the summer have had to be patient with the opportunities. To be honest, I think Diamond, I think Fevrier, I think they've all had to be patient with their opportunities, and they've all kind of been in and out the team. I think Lewis Bate is the only one which has really come in and gone, right, there's a run of games for you, and he's controlled and ran the midfield over the last couple of months for us. Even Connolly kind of, he's been a little bit more in over the last month or so, but he didn't get going for a long time. In fact, I think his first game for County was in this competition against Everton's under 21s back in probably early September, and then he started to get into the league side. Corey Idai, of course, as well, another one which is, he's between the sticks tonight, but he was meant to be the number one goalkeeper. He's lost his place. So a lot of the business we've done in the summer, we are kind of making it more difficult for these players to get into the team. I think we have gone a lot more back to basics, back to familiarity with the team. We've picked a lot more of the players which we've had over the last couple of years, particularly when Seven Miles and Ryan Rydell came back into the team as well. So it has been difficult for these new players that are coming in the summer, and that's a big warning as well, because if Louis Barry moves on in January, which there's a lot of talk he will, that's going to mean that we're going to have to bring in a replacement. And given how our business in the summer's gone, with a lot of these players not really getting in the team that much, we might have a similar problem with Louis Barry's replacement, and therefore who's going to step up and take Barry's place in that team in terms of scoring goals and also putting in brilliant performances. So I'm not too sure about that one. Stuart is saying, do you think our squad is too big? I think that Challoner and Simon Wilson would have had a bit of an anxiety almost of the size of the squad, because last season we were hit so hard with injuries. I think there was a feeling that when we get to the summer, we need to make sure we have a big squad to cope with the demands of League One. And I think what happened was, obviously, then we had those 12, 13 injuries at the beginning of the season, Blackburn Rovers in the Carabao Cup at home. Then we had the Blackpool away game. We had a lot of injuries on that period of time. And I think that at that point in time, it felt like, okay, we've got a strong enough squad to deal with the injuries. But actually, when a lot of these players are back fit again, like where we kind of are now, I think you're right, the squad does look, a little bit too big and perhaps a little bit imbalanced, because we've got a lot of players in certain areas, but then lacking in others. So I think we're really lacking in the striker department at this point in time. I think we're really lacking for, a few centre backs, to be honest. I mean, obviously we start to play Connolly, so I think that's kind of helped. But I'm not sure how much of a long term option he is. I'm not 100% convinced of him yet. So I think the squad is too big in certain areas. I think there's other areas, particularly the centre forward role, really does need work on, and I do think County will do business in January on that one, because at the moment it's only really Cal Wotton who's the out and out striker. Louis Barry's not a striker; he plays on the left. He's a goal scoring wide player, not on the same level, but it's like a Mohamed Salah, isn't it? Mohamed Salah is not a striker; he's a goal scoring wide player. That's what Louis Barry is. So. When I talk about bringing in a striker, we've got Wotton, Tanto Alafi, I suppose, but he's not really playing at the moment. Michael Mellon's going to move on. He's going to go back to Burnley, hopefully, in January, because he's just not been... I think he's played 2 games all season for us. I don't even think he's started any of those. He's basically been in... He came in injured, or he got injured over in Spain, I think, with us. And then he came back, possibly for one of these kind of games, then got injured again, then came back for a cup game, I think, and then got injured in that. So it's basically just been, a season of injuries for Michael Mellon. Not really seeing too much of it. He might be a really, really good striker. We'll never know, because, well, we won't know if he would have been good in these last 6 months for us anyway. He might stay in January, keep fit and be really, really good, but I've not seen enough of him to really comment either way. But I do think he's probably got to move on, just because his injury record isn't great. So I do think we need a striker, centre forward, in January. I think we'll bring in that Icelandic striker, which we have been linked with. There is also a couple of other names as well, which has come up over the last couple of weeks. And like I say, now we've got just 2 or 3 weeks to the new year before the window opens. There'll be a lot of names linked with a move to Stockport County, and there has been already. So yeah, we're getting close to kick-off now. I think just under 10 minutes away from kick-off at Edgeley Park. We're playing Bradford. We haven't managed to get a win over them for some time, actually. I think I've got it here, actually. Oh, I've lost the page now. You don't get this on Sky. Our last win over them was... So in the last 3 games, there hasn't been a winner. The last winner between the 2 sides was us on the 8th of October 2022. We won 1-0 at their ground. I can't remember the last time we won it there, but we beat them at our place. But yeah, I think that we've got to win this game, and I think we will win this game. I think it's got to be, given how strong the team is, I think we've got to go at them and win pretty convincingly. Given that they've not had a great record over the last month or so as well, I'd say we've got to turn up with a pretty emphatic win, and I will go with a 3-0 Stockport County win. Corey Adai hopefully keeps a clean sheet and has a positive game. Hopefully that defence doesn't have too much to do. I want to see Adam Ramola play well, to be honest, because there's another one which I'm a little bit doubtful of. We were talking before about players that came in the summer that haven't really hit the ground running. Adam Ramola came in injured against Blackburn in the friendly, struggled, was out for a little bit, but when he has played, he's just not convinced me. So there's another one, a little bit like Michael Mellon, that may well move on and go back to the parent club in January. But actually thinking about it, it's only just occurred to me now, and we've known we've been playing Palace in the FA Cup for weeks now, but Teo Adamola is on loan from Crystal Palace, so he probably can't even play that game anyway in a couple of weeks. Barry is not going to get the starts in a higher division. He needs to see it. I don't think it's him pushing for the move. I think it's Aston Villa. I actually think he could get the minutes. To be honest, I think with the right team and the right club, particularly Middlesbrough, which has been spoke about, I actually think he could force his way into that team. The problem is they're doing well at the moment. I think they're 5th or 4th in the Championship. They're focused on promotion, and they're not going to want to mess about with their team too much. So is Louis Barry going to get into that team straight away? Probably not. He's probably have to find his way in from 10, 15 minutes here off the bench. By the time that he's done enough in those minutes to show that he should be starting, you're probably into February or March. So half your loan spell's already used up. So I think he could get minutes in the Championship team. I think he could get minutes in the Championship team, which will go on and be successful. But from my point of view, and obviously there's a bit of bias coming into it as well, I think the best decision would be for Louis Barry to stay at Stockport County for the duration of the season, and then look at giving him a couple of, then look at giving him a loan spell in the Championship from the start of next season. Who knows? Maybe even Stockport County will be that option. To be fair though, I think that I can see Aston Villa's point of view, but I think they're basically looking at it and going, they're trying to fast track his development. I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing to do for Louis Barry. If they're fast tracking his development, it's purely because they must want to sell him in the summer. It's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, you would have patience in a player which is only 21 years of age. Barry fades after 60 minutes. There we go. He's still not that kind of player because, like you say, he can fade in games. He faded in the Birmingham game last week. Now, okay, they probably put 1 or 2 players. They doubled up, sometimes even tripled up on him down that side, which is why Diamond was actually allowed so much space on the right hand side. So actually, he is helping in a way because Birmingham were worried about his threat. They're actually doubling up or tripling up on him, which is allowing space down the other flank. But if you don't have that end product down the other side, then you're not really reaping the benefits of that. Actually the hard work that Louis Barry was doing in that game against Birmingham. So he does still fade in games, of course he does, and I actually think he's got better and developed better this season. At Stockport County, he has got better off the ball. He's improving every week, but he does still fade in games, as do a lot of top players, by the way. We see it in the Premier League. There's some fantastic players, but they can go missing. He's a different type of player, but I would say maybe even someone like Alejandro Garnacho at United, very, very highly rated. He has moments of brilliance, but he also is a player that can go missing at times. So that happens with young players. You're going to have inconsistency, and that's where I think he's in the right place, because when he does have those moments where he fades at County, he's the main guy. So he has that opportunity to play through that. If he goes and does that at Middlesbrough or Aston Villa, they're going to drop him and go, hang on a minute, you're not playing well, you're fading in the game, you drop the next week. So he's never going to have that opportunity to bounce back. So I think he's in the right environment at County. I think he should stay. I think he would probably be happy to stay as well. I just think that Aston Villa have already made their mind up on that, and they want him to go into the Championship in January, which is a disappointment. But anyway, we're a couple of minutes away from kick-off now. I want to thank everyone who has joined in with the comments in the pre-match stream as well. Like I say, 3-0 win I'm going with for Stockport County against Bradford. We will be live at full time, which I've gone with 10 to 9. I never seem to get the timing right. But at full time, when the final whistle goes, we'll be reacting live on this channel with hopefully Stockport County win and hopefully into that quarter-finals or last 16, last 16, jumping ahead there, last 16 of the EFL trophy, which promises hopefully to offer another potential trophy for Stockport County. So thanks to everyone who's joined in. As I say, we will be live back on this channel at full time. So thanks for joining in.